Hey, it's Chelsea. Thank you so much for being here. In this video, we are taking a look at the upcoming full moon in Virgo. It is exact Tuesday, March 7th at 7:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to adjust accordingly for your own time zone. To understand how this Virgo full moon is going to be playing out in your life, take a look at your chart and locate 16 degrees and 40 minutes of Virgo. Take note of what house it's in, as well as any planets or placements that you may have on, around, or interacting with that degree in your chart. So before we dive in, I just want to quickly say thank you so much for the positive feedback that I have been receiving for the new style of videos that I have been making. And the inspiration behind this video is actually from one of the supporters. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys so much. To just give you an idea of the intention that I have behind making these videos is to understand the energies that we have at play that day or for that period of time, and really tap into our subconscious mind in order to tap into our power, in order to understand how we can best work with these planetary energies and not fight with them, so that we can utilize them for our benefit and apply them into our own lives. So I am using tools like sound healing as well as my voice in order to induce a trance-like or hypnotic state to really get deep into the subconscious mind. If you don't know, I'm trained in multiple modalities of past life regression. And so in past life regression, you learn how to utilize your voice as a tool to induce trance-like or hypnotic states, so that you can journey beneath your conscious mind and into the depths of the subconscious, because that is really a deep well of knowledge and power. So also, if you're interested in personal readings, you could find those on my website as well as the link below. And because we are going to be moving into Saturn in Pisces, I feel like past life regression is going to be a very powerful tool to utilize during that time. So if you are interested in past life regression, let me know. I may be adding that service back to my website. So anyway, let's dive into this Virgo full moon. So the mutable placements, mutable signs being Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, and Sagittarius, we will likely be feeling this full moon a little bit more intensely. So we will have the sun and the moon in the days that follow. Well, at least the moon's going to be square Mars just hours after this full moon. And the sun is going to move into a very intense and dynamic square with Mars in the days that follow this full moon. And we'll talk more about that later, because that's going to be a date that we want to keep our eyes on, because there's a lot of energy at play. So I want to read the Sabian symbol for 17 degrees of Virgo, because as I have analyzed the chart for this full moon, as well as just throughout the charts throughout Pisces season, this Sabian symbol really confirms what I have been sensing and picking up on, as I look at what is going on. And I mean, this Pisces season is a deep, deep clearing and releasing. And I mean, Pisces in general, it is the final sign of the zodiac. So it is associated with clearing and letting go and releasing, especially because it's a mutable sign, the mutable signs being the signs that end the seasons. So they are connected with endings. But this Pisces season in particular, we are closing out a lot of old energy, possibly even lifetimes of cycles that we are moving through. So I'm reading the Sabian symbol for 17 degrees of Virgo, because if it is above 30 minutes, I will round up to the following degree. So a volcanic eruption, the explosive energy of long repressed contents of the subconscious. We are dealing here with the dramatic release of energies which have been kept in check by the outer shell of the ego-controlled consciousness. It may be a spectacular catharsis, but it often takes paths of destruction. Yet unless some form of purification by fire is experienced, the inner pressure of this karmic past or of more recent frustrations would shake up, perhaps even more destructively, the very foundations of the personality. Confrontation with an image of the karmic past, replaced by a subjective eruption of repressed memories and primitive cravings. Everything must be released from the psyche, seeking to attain the transfigured state. The soul must become empty, the mind translucent. The key word is explosion. So there is so much energy that is bubbling up from beneath the surface this Pisces season leading into Aries season. And we are going to be confronted with a lot, whether it is parts of our shadows that we have ignored or repressed energy, habits, addictions. A lot is going to be coming up from the surface and revealing itself for us to face in order to completely clear out, so that when we move forward into these new beginnings that are being created in our lives, that are being seeded in our lives, then we're able to move forward in a way that is not bound by the karmic past or bound by our trauma or our pain. And we can just fully release and let go and drop our baggage, so that we're not bringing all of this old pain and trauma and karmic cycles. Like, we don't want to be bringing that forward with us. And so this month, really, I mean, leading up to Aries season, this is a very deep release, a powerful cleanse, and a deep purge. And so there are a few things that this Sabian symbol mentioned that make me think of what's going on in other areas in the chart as well. Like how it mentions this dramatic release of energies which have been kept in check by the outer shell of the ego controlled consciousness. And that really makes me think of Saturn, the planet of limitations and structures and boundaries, moving into the dissolving sign of Pisces. And then, I mean, the path of destruction from February 27th until March 7th, until an hour after this full moon, we are dealing with both Saturn and Pluto at the critical or anaretic degrees of Capricorn and Aquarius. And so here we're really facing so much to ultimately be released and to be let go of. When Pluto changes signs, it breaks things down on, as it's leaving the sign, it's breaking things down, and as it's entering the new sign, it is breaking things down. And so there's a lot being restructured, and a lot is being transformed. And so it also mentions purification by fire. So we have, I mean, it's interesting because when you think of purifying or purification, I mean, Pisces is very purifying, it's cleansing, but then by fire. We have a lot of planets, or dwarf planets, asteroids in the sign of Aries at this time. And it's interesting to me also that there is this collective idea of purifying by fire right now. I mean, we saw that recently in Ohio. I wouldn't call that a purification, but that's what they told us they were doing, was purifying these chemicals by setting them ablaze. And so there is this energy of transmutation that happens as things are shifting from one state into another through mediums like fire to shift the energy, to shift the state of something. And I mean, destruction, Pluto, as I mentioned, and then also being confronted with the karmic past, Saturn being the planet having to do with karma, and the eruption of repressed memories, primitive cravings. A lot of what Pisces deals with is addictions. Um, and so we are facing so much is coming up from the depths of our psyche right now so that we can confront it. I mean, things that we have ignored, things that we have repressed, things that we might not have realized were there that have been detrimental to our growth, detrimental to the lives that we want to be creating. Ultimately, what is happening here is this transfiguration. Things are changing state. And so we can really utilize this energy in order to transform the detrimental parts of ourselves so that we can create a sense of power, so that we can transmute all of the fear that we might hold on to from our past pain and from our past traumas. And so that we can transmute that into the energy of love, so that we can be fueled, we can be guided by our heart, so that we can move forward, not in a state of fear, but move forward in a way where we're expressing our love, where we're being guided by our heart fearlessly. And so this full moon, it is one of the releases that we are going to be under the influence of this Pisces season. But we also, the week following the full moon, or I think it's a little bit longer, it's about 9 days after this full moon on March 15th, we are going to finally see Mars move beyond where it's stationed retrograde at 25 degrees of Gemini, October 30th. And so this is a cycle that we are going to be moving past and that we are going to be completing. I mean, 1 hour, less than 1 hour after this full moon, we are going to see Saturn move into the sign of Pisces for the first time since the 90s. And so we're leaving behind that cycle. Like, we're finalizing Saturn in Aquarius, which began March 2020. And I mean, Saturn at the time of this full moon is at 29 degrees and 59 minutes of Aquarius, the final minute of Aquarius. And that's when we're going to see Saturn pull beyond a 30-degree orb of Pluto. And this is really going to be finalizing the energies, or perhaps creating reverberations in a way of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which was in January 12th, 2020, at 22 degrees of Capricorn. And so I'm kind of seeing Saturn as it pulls away from Pluto, like this rubber band snapping, this energy, this just expression of energy that's been brewing beneath the surface. And then another powerful cycle that we're going to be finalizing, I mean, really for the rest of this Pisces season, because 2 days after Aries season starts, that's when we're going to see Pluto enter into Aquarius for the first time in our lives. And so this is the type of energies that we are tying up. I mean, Pluto has been in the sign of Capricorn since 2008. And so as it is at the 29th degree of Capricorn, it's really the edge of the cliff where we're facing our fears. We're facing what we perceived were our limitations. Like, feels like we can't go any further. We might literally be feeling like on edge and triggered easily at this time. And it's because there's so much energy beneath the surface, just waiting to rise, waiting to erupt. And so what we're building up to is the final Mars-Neptune square that is going to be beginning March 15th. And so this is when we are finally going to see Mars at 25 degrees of Gemini, moving beyond where it's stationed retrograde all the way back in October. And so we have been working with a Mars that, I mean, Mars has been in Gemini since August. And that is a very long time for Mars to be moving through a sign. And so, I mean, Gemini is typically a very quick moving, witty energy, very fast moving. And so we have had Mars, the planet of action, moving very slowly. through the sign of Gemini, moving backwards, backtracking, going back and recovering energy. Like, we're still working through these themes of Mars, where Mars, like, we have not yet reached where Mars stationed retrograde October 30th. And so these are the cycles that we're finalizing. And then also Mars in Gemini, one of the big characteristics of this transit was the square to Neptune, which first happened in the middle of October. We saw that again in the middle of November, and we're going to be seeing that for the third and final time right as Mars moves beyond its retrograde shadow on the 15th of March. And then the next day on the 16th, we are going to see the Sun, Neptune, and Mercury in a conjunction at 25 degrees of Pisces, all square Mars in Gemini. And so it's like, finally, as soon as Mars is able to roam free and move into new territory, it is met with this resistance, with this tension from Mercury, the messenger, which is at its fall in Pisces because it rules Virgo. So already the detail oriented planet that moves very quickly, Mercury, is having to understand how to communicate in a way that is not relying on logic, and having to sink into the intuition and be more open-minded and really kind of remove the gaze from that of the details and just see all that is, the endless, limitless possibilities that Pisces creates. And then we have Neptune. The planet of, it's so dreamy, it is so dissolving. It will tap us deep beneath our conscious mind into the wells of our subconscious. It can be deceptive and elusive because it's hard to understand what is real and what is not real when we are under the influence of a harshly aspected Neptune. And then we have the Sun, our life force, our expression. And so not only do we have all of that tension going towards Mars on the 16th, but we are also going to have the moon in the middle of Capricorn at 17 degrees, in the mid degrees of Capricorn, and it is going to be square the planets, the asteroids in Aries, Chiron, Jupiter, and Vesta. And so it's like we are going to be facing things that have been within us for so long. Vesta is a very ancient energy, and this is where I'm seeing like lifetimes of cycles, lifetimes of repressed patterns, repressed emotion, trauma, just revealing itself. And then on top of that, we are going to have Venus at 29 degrees of Aries square Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. And so this is, this is going to have us, we're going to have to be brave and face whatever may arise. And and that's not to say this in like a fearful way or like a way to, induce fear. That's definitely not what I'm doing, but I'm just saying, like, these are the energies of the chart. This is what we are working with. And things that reveal themselves from the shadows, like, it could be beautiful things, like it can be our gifts. We can be understanding what is holding us back from living lives that we dream to be creating. We can be figuring out things that we have ignored simply because they've been in our blind spots. Like, these are going to be things that are illuminating and revealing themselves ultimately so we can embody more of our power and our mastery, because that really is Pluto and Saturn at the critical degree, at the 29th degree. That is mastery, that is authority, that is embodying our power, that is turning pain into power, transmuting our pain, our traumas, what has held us back, what our fears, and utilizing that as a power to fuel our passions, our creations, what we dream to create in this world, how we want to show up in this world. I mean, Pluto and Aquarius, we are going to be bringing the focus from that of the governments and these systems and institutions that have been put in place in ways to enslave us or to create these limitations. We're going to be shifting our focus from those and to that of humanity and the community. And so it's going to be really important that we understand our roles in the community, because, I mean, we're going to be wanting to invest in other people. Like, how can we work with other people in a way that they can benefit from us? How can we work with people in a way that we can benefit from them? It's going to be this symbiosis of working together in order to repair this mess of the world that we're in right now. And I mean, I think that is why so many people are awakening to their power, to their truths right now, is because it's like we have been living lives that are so untrue to ourselves, our soul, and how we want to be living our lives, how we want to be spending our time or investing our time, the little amount of time that we have, this little blip on the timeline that is our lives right now. So this is a really powerful time of breaking free and of liberation. And I mean, of course, it's going to take tension in order to get us there. That's the thing that I love about squares in the chart. Of course, I mean, in the astro.com, like the thing that I use, it's like these red lines, and red is kind of like a warning sign, right? But this is what allows us to transform and to change and to really understand our power. If it was all just like flow and ease, and that's not to say that there isn't this energy that we can tap into right now, is flow and ease, but there is kind of like this underlying tension of this energy brewing beneath the surface that a lot of us can't quite put our fingers on, but we know there's something that's just on the verge of happening, or that is just waiting to rise, this energy. But this is where the transformation lies. Like, this is a powerful time of transformation right now. It's not necessarily a time to rely on our logic, even though, I mean, Virgo being ruled by Mercury, Mercury is a very logical, analytical energy. But I mean, with Mercury and Pisces, and with this strong emphasis in Pisces, because in the hour that follows this full moon, we're going to have Saturn, Mercury, the Sun, and Neptune all in Pisces. That's intuition, that's flow. And then also our instincts, because there is this big emphasis on Aries as well, because we have Vesta, Jupiter, Chiron, Venus, Eris, and Juno all in Aries. And so that is instincts. That's trusting your gut. That is taking action before your mind is able to talk you out of it, and just trusting where you're being guided. And so, yeah, I mean, with Saturn at the final minute of Aquarius, and with Pluto at the 29th degree of Capricorn, like, this is intense. And I mean, that we have not witnessed Saturn and Pluto change signs within weeks of each other in our lifetime. And I looked back at charts from hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and I could not find a time when Saturn and Pluto both changed signs within weeks of each other. If you are aware of a date in which that happened, let me know, because I would love to look into the history of what was happening at that time. But I really do feel like we are moving into uncharted territory. We're already in uncharted territory, as we have this restructuring, demolition in many ways of the old versions of ourselves, of parts of our society that have just not been working. A lot is being cleared and released right now. And that really is this energy of this Pisces season, is like this deep purge, this deep cleanse of years of cycles, of lifetimes of cycles, revealing themselves from the depths of the unknown, making themselves known so that we can acknowledge them, clear them, and move into completely new, just new beginnings in our lives. So looking at some of the aspects that are happening at the time of this full moon, well, I've already been talking about aspects happening at the time of this full moon, but like kind of going deeper into them, we will also have the sun sextile Uranus in Taurus and the moon trine Uranus in Taurus. So this is, Uranus is at 15 degrees, the sun and the moon 16, 17 degrees. And so this is happening leading up to this full moon. And so this is a really beautiful energy of unexpected things coming into our lives, like awakening energies, just complete epiphanies, understandings, doing things differently. And I mean, it's this activation, but we have to act in order to really take advantage of this energy that can ultimately create more flow in our lives in a really innovative way, because Uranus is, it's innovative, it's rebellious as well. Like, how can we do things differently? How can we break away from our old patterns, our old routines, our old cycles, in order to create innovation in our lives, in order to move forward in a way that is with excitement and fearless. And so then we also have I've mentioned the sun and the moon moving towards a square with Mars in Gemini. So the square to the sun is going to be building. So really what we have going on at the time of this full moon is like a wide T square happening with Mars, the moon, and the sun. And this is a frustrated Mars that is ready to just break free and like release itself from this energy of Gemini that's been like the longest transit ever. But it's important that we are paying attention to the messages right now, because ever since August, when Mars entered Gemini, we have been understanding how to utilize our energy in a way where we're not getting burnt out, where we're not just spinning our wheels. Many of us have probably been derailed. Like, we thought we were going to be doing something. We were so dead set on something happening a certain way. We had these expectations, and then suddenly, we were still going through Saturn square Uranus, even in the fall. And so it was like pattern disruption. That's not happening. And so we've had to get ourselves back on track in many ways. And this tension is like creating friction with Mars. It's just going to want to break free, to do things differently. So just be aware of impulsive energies. It's important to channel this abundance of energy into activities that are good, as opposed to possibly detrimental. So, just exercise, movement, creative expression. Definitely, like with this Mars energy, I'm definitely seeing like a lot of movement, but also allowing the mind to just like release yourselves, like free yourself from the confines of the conscious mind, and of like the analysis paralysis energy of like that Virgo might be bringing up, the Virgo full moon. And allow yourself to flow and surrender. Like, as I have mentioned, logic will not be strong during this time. Things are not making sense. We have been in this strange realm now for a good amount of time, and things are not going to be making sense necessarily anytime soon. So it's just allow this energy that is coming up to clear as it reveals itself. And also just keep taking action in the way that your instincts and intuition is guiding you. With all of these planets making aspects to Chiron, like leading up to the full moon, with like Jupiter, Venus, and Chiron, Vesta moving into a conjunction with Chiron and Aries, it's like understanding how we might have held ourselves back from taking action, or how our pain and our trauma is holding us back, essentially, and preventing us from moving into new experiences. And also where we might be relying on others, like how can we be more independent in our lives and take more initiative in our lives and be more responsible for ourselves and our lives, and not rely so much on just things magically falling into place, because that's not exactly, I mean, the energy right now. We are being rewarded when we are taking action. We are being rewarded. We're receiving blessings and opportunities when we are taking action towards our lives, when we are being responsible and accountable and disciplined and standing in our authority. So we also have the sun semi-square Pluto, which is a 45-degree aspect. And we also have the moon sesquiquadrate Pluto, which is a 135-degree aspect. And so it's like, again, emphasizing the psyche and that which has been hidden beneath the surface. And I mean, this could result in like this inner conflict, or like an inner tension of patterns and cycles repeating that are detrimental, that are holding us back, that are preventing us from moving forward. Understand what triggers may arise at this time, and how those, like what it is that's triggering us. Like, why are we getting triggered? And is it because of an energy of like us holding ourselves back, like an energy of jealousy, regret? What emotions might we be feeling that can assist us in understanding where we are still holding ourselves back, or from understanding our patterns that are detrimental to our lives, to our growth? At the time of this full moon, we have Pallas in Cancer, square Vesta in Aries. And Pallas, pattern recognition; Vesta, very ancient energy. And so understanding, I mean, like I said, I really believe we are working through lifetimes of karma. We are clearing out, we are purging lifetimes of karma. If we truly surrender to this energy and let go, we will be able to clear our energy field, like clear ourselves, like mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, energetically, so that we are not holding on to this heaviness. We are not holding on to this dense energy and moving forward that is bound to the past. I mean, really with like, because the Taurus Scorpio axis, where we've been having the eclipses, I mean, this has been a big theme, is understanding what pain or what trauma still holds us and binds us to the past. How can we break free of that so that we're able to move forward in our lives in a way that is building something new, that is creating long-lasting foundations, and not just like these quick dopamine hits of instant gratification. This is like, we really want to be investing our energy and our resources into things that are long lasting at this time, long lasting foundations and structures in our lives. Like, we want to be building. There's going to be destruction happening regardless, but it's going to be a clearing out of all that is not meant to be moving forward with us. And so we also have this interesting quincunx with the moon in Virgo, with the planets, the asteroids in Aries, Vesta, Jupiter, Chiron, and Venus. And so this is understanding what might be holding us back in taking action, in our independence, in our own authority. Pharaoh has arrived. But yeah, so understanding what might be preventing us from taking action towards the lives that we want to be experiencing for ourselves. So on that note, I have, I need to, I don't know if you can hear like a beeping, but like I need to get a battery for the smoke alarm. But so I've just been like pressing the button periodically so that it like stops beeping for like 10 hours. And the beeping startles Pharaoh. So, but that's pretty much all of what I wanted to say. I mean, there is just this deep, profound clearing that is taking place right now. And as energy is being cleared and released from our lives, it's going to be creating space for the new that we are moving into. And so, I mean, with the harmonious aspects with Uranus at this time, leading up to the full moon, it's like really understanding what we can do differently, like what risks can we take in order to create this transformation in our lives. And I mean, letting go and clearing this energy, it is taking a chance, because it's like it's all we've ever known is, like it's like what our mind has known. Like so often we keep ourselves stuck in a certain way of doing things or trapped in certain cycles simply because our logical mind is trying to keep us safe, because there is this certain fear of the unknown. But with all of this energy in Pisces, I mean, the unknown can be a very beautiful thing, and it involves taking a risk and taking a chance to truly dive in and immerse ourselves in the magic and the beauty that lies hidden in the unknown. Um, so, yeah, I mean, again, this is a really powerful time to be working with our subconscious mind in order to restructure and reprogram our minds so that we can move forward fully embodying our power and move forward in a way that is fearless and that is welcoming of the new energies coming in. Um, I mean, something about this full moon in Virgo is there's not that much fixed energy in the chart. And that's because we have, I mean, Saturn's going to be moving out of Aquarius, a fixed sign, shortly after the full moon. And so at that point, we're just going to have the nodes in Uranus in fixed signs. We have a big focus in cardinal signs. And so that is starting new, initiating, taking chances into the unknown. And then we have mutable placements happening, mutable signs being the closing out of cycles and the letting go and the clearing out of energy and all that is not moving forward. So this is not a time to be holding on to the way that we knew, the lives that we have become very comfortable with. This is, I mean, change is always uncomfortable. And that's really what we're working with right now. There's just so much change and so much transformation happening, and it's happening regardless whether we want it to or not. So definitely surrendering to these energies and opening up to the flow is in our best interest right now. It will feel a lot easier in the long run, as opposed to clinging on to our old world, our old lives, the old ways of doing things. Because, I mean, Pluto moving into Aquarius, Saturn moving into Pisces, things are going to change. So on that note, thank you so much for being here. Again, if you are interested in a personal reading with me, you can find that in the link below or on my website. Tap into the astrology meditations and activations that I'm doing. My intention behind them is to create just transformation within ourselves and to fully embody our power and mastery, to work with these energies at hand in order to flow and not fight with them. And yeah, if you would be interested in past life regression, let me know, because like I said, Saturn and Pisces, I think that's going to be a powerful tool to utilize. And so if I get positive feedback, I might just add them back to my website. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you found a lot of value in this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you so much. Bye.